Okay, I have to think. How do I say this? Mm, this morning I had a thought in Finnish. Maybe it would be easier. I don't know. Uh, the idea and how to present it. Yeah, I wouldn't like to say it's a message. I thought I could say it's a message, but message is not good because usually in the history, all the messengers who bring bad news, they are killed because nobody likes a messenger which brings bad news. People usually like only messengers and messages which bring good news. But this is neither. This is no good news or bad news. This is just what I think. And I think if people in these days, because it's over 8 billion, 8 and how many zeros? 9. 9 zeros. 8 million has 6,000 times more. It's 8 billion. I have found out that some people don't even know that how much is 1 billion because it's even different word here in the Europe and in the USA. Uh, billion in Europe, it's 1,000 times more than in the USA. So if you have a billion in Europe, I have a billion euros in at least in our language, it's 1,000 times more than a billion in USA. If you bring a billion here, which is 1,000 times more here, you bring the billion to USA, it's 1,000 times less. It's divided by 1,000. So it's confusing. I have a billion, so I earn it here in Europe. I go to the USA and I have a billion, and it's 1,000 times less. It's divided by 1,000. So it's just the words. I don't know why. Maybe some billionaire or someone was jealous about the wealth of some European royals or some European billionaires, so they made this kind of foolish thing that they divided the wealth of European billionaire to 1,000 because billion in some languages means 1,000 times more than billion in USA. It's divided by 1,000, so it's not the same. But anyway, that was not even close to the idea I had this morning. Oh. Yes, it was this 8 billion, yes, because humanity is now in population size over 8 billion or something like this. Chinese have faked their number so many hundreds of millions, it might be under, but officially it's over 8 billion. Unofficially, nobody knows. But anyway, more than 7 anyway. And it's so much that if we think that we can isolate ourselves the same way as 100 years ago, 100 years ago, isolation was okay. Global trade wasn't such a big thing as 100 years later today. Global trade is very huge. 100 years ago it was quite okay, but even then it was bad because USA ruined its economy 100 years ago. So even 100 years ago, uh, global trade was very important. So much so that USA had a really bad economic situation. But anyway, if you go 200 years in the past, or maybe even then trade was, but maybe 2000 years in the year zero of the Lord or something like this, when maybe some Jesus or someone was alive. I don't know if it was a real person or some fiction. But anyway, if you think about 2000 years ago, there was 100 million people approximately. Nobody knows. But maybe 100 million people. It's less than a population in USA, or it's less than a population in Russia. It's less than a, maybe it's more than population in Germany. I don't know. It's Germany is 80 million or 160 million. I have no idea. So anyway, some large country size of people, 100 million. Isolation was okay in those times because natural resources and the planet was so huge, so you can live in isolation from other countries. It's okay, and other there was plenty of room for everyone to be alone. It was okay, and even traveling was very difficult. You have to use your legs or a camel or a dog or a horse or a pig. I think even some people, a donkey, traveled riding a pig, huge pig. You know this. If you let the pig grow, it becomes pretty large. You can actually ride with the pig. So the world was much larger, and distances were much larger because traveling was so slow. Today you can fly. 2000 years ago you couldn't fly. Maybe over a cliff you can fly once to the ground and die, or get severely injured, or just hurt your head or leg. But anyway, isolation was not a problem 2000 years ago. It started to be a problem even 1,000 years later, maybe, because in year 1000, isolation wasn't anymore so much of an option. Even the population was under billion or something, I don't know. We reached 1 billion people sometimes in, I don't know, 15, 1600s or something. I don't know. But anyway, this 100 million, it was so less. It didn't matter what you do or who do you care and who you don't care. The earth was so plentiful, and all the resources, they were mostly unused and unexploited. Nature and oil wasn't really a thing. People used to burn coal to keep the tent warm, or wood, or whatever, animal fat. It didn't matter. We were so few. Now we are 80 times more, not 100 times more. It would be 10 billion. But now we are 80 times more. And the planet is the same. Planets haven't grown in size. It's the same diameter, 14,000 kilometers approximately, maybe a bit more. So the planet is the same. Nature have died mostly, mm, and we are almost 100 times more. So, and now when we try to isolate ourselves into separate nations and only think about our own tribe or something like this, and we have these global problems like the climate change, which some people still deny, and floods and famines and pandemics and economic problems and lack of resources and lack of people to work, even if we have so many people, is insane somehow. But we want productivity, have to produce a lot of things to sell which are cheap, they bring less money, get must have more. And we have these global trade problems and global climate problems and even the population. Humanity's biggest problem has always been the humans. Planet is no problem. If planet is would be a problem, why do we stay on the planet? Why don't we shoot ourselves into space? Some Elons want to shoot themselves to space because they think the planet is the problem, but it's the people. He wants to populate more. I don't understand his logic. These South Africans, they are somehow crazy. Good YouTube channels, but don't go to politics. You are too crazy for that. I think it's because of your harsh living conditions in South Africa. A lot of crime and isolation. Yes, maybe you got your isolation from your childhood because you couldn't leave your house without getting killed or something like that in South Africa. But anyway, my I haven't got into my idea yet. But the isolation, yes, I was thinking that if you try to isolate a nation, a group of people these days, it will only result in what is already happening. We are getting more weapons, and even if we don't say we are preparing for the war, because why do you want to put 5% to military budget if you are not preparing for the war? You are, and at least trying to prevent it or something like this. But this isolation, the idea was really simple. It's basic physics. If you have a larger mass, not 100 million but 8 billion, it's almost 100 times more population, 100 times more humans, 100 times more needs. Okay, 80 times more. It sounds a lot less when I say 80 than 100. 100 times more, 80 times more. It doesn't really matter. It's 80% or 100%. It's a lot. And it's not 100% or 80%. 80 times more is 8,000. Imagine, not 10,000, it would be 100. It's 8,000% more people. If you compare the population 2,000 years ago and population today, it's 8,000% more. So now we are 8,000% more people on this earth, and if we try to compress, isolate inside a nation, and if the nation cannot sustain itself in isolation, usually they cannot. This global trade and everything, we don't have any homegrown production of things what we use in our daily lives because we don't want to produce them anymore. We want some other people somewhere produce them. Or we cannot because we don't have the education. That's another problem. We have the education and we don't want to make any simple things. Those who have no education want to make the simple things. And we live in so many realities in this world, which are hugely different from each other. If you would think about timelines or something like what kind of cultures, others are ahead, others are behind. And if we think about in time perspective, it's something like tens of years or hundreds of years. And some cultures seems to be behind others thousands of years. So so isolation is not a good thing, because when this kind of cultures and 8,000% more people, we cannot live like we lived 2000 years ago and be isolated, because the mass of people is so much greater, and the, you can imagine if you put people in a small area in a country, put a border and build a wall or something like, and you try to compress them, and if they don't feel good in these borders, inside the borders, there will be some unrest and they want to expand like Russia is on, but it's not the people who want to, or maybe they want, but it's insane because they have so much land. But anyway, it's not so much about expanding the land, but the resources and and everything. And we need space as people. And if you try to compress these unhappy people in some small area, it's like a fission. And it will become nuclear, you know. So the isolation is not a solution. It will only bring more conflict. If you think you can solve these global problems and this global unhappiness by isolating nations, you are insane, because you will only bring people to be more unhappy, more poor, and you will only compress the problems. You only compress the unhappiness and lack of resources and lack of labor force and lack of ideas. You will only compress the problem into more dense area, and this will result in expansion, rapid expansion, I believe. And isolation has always led to wars, because very seldom nations, especially in these days, our 8 billion population and all the large and smaller nations, they are not self-sufficient. At least they want to go to holiday somewhere. And even this is a problem today. People don't want tourists in Canary Islands or Spain, Barcelona, and people still want to go to holidays, and it's not a solution to isolate and think that I can isolate my country and be well in my own country, and then I want to go to holiday to some other country which suffers from that. That I go there and break things or make the living there like hell, and drink all the water and take all the apartment and space and do what the hell I like there, and then come back to my own paradise country. It's not going to work. We are too many, 8,000% more than in the year zero. So it will only result in conflict and wars. It's like fission, I think. It's a simple physics. If you try to compress people, they will expand, and it will bring war. The solution is always solution. Solution is solution. That's why the word is solution, because if you want to solve a problem, you need a solution. And the solution to this problem is the solution. I mean, you need to dilute the people from these compressed areas all over the planet. And how you can do this? The only way to do this is to unite all the countries and the people, and then comes the real solidarity, and it's the only way actually, because we are now 8 billion. That's so many people. And if you think that we can solve the problems of climate by isolating ourselves, Chinese will pollute a lot longer, Indians a lot longer, and we try to help them and we give them money and they mess up things because they are Chinese. And not to say that Chinese are always messing up things, but at the moment they are. So I'm not saying that there is not any good progress there. Yes, there is, but the political system is very corrupt there. And corruption is corruption. It always brings destruction. Corruption brings always destruction, even in the USA. If you think corruption is okay in the USA, you can see the destruction after that corruption. It will come, I believe. So, the solution is solution. I mean, you dilute the humanity all over the planet, and you make best of everyone. I mean, and you give everyone opportunity, and this is kind of utopia, but it's not an utopia because it's not easy. Utopia is something where everyone is happy. That's utopia. No one is ever happy. Eventually, I mean, unhappiness will come, but sometimes before you die, and and maybe the final moments will be happy when you realize that you are going to die. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that isolation is like building a nuclear bomb. If you try to isolate nations, it's like building weapons, and it's like a fission. And expansion, on isolation, it's not fusion, because that would be an even bigger bomb. But fusion is, you can think it's like a sun. If you like sunshine, and you can think that isolation is like building a nuclear bomb, fission bomb, and expansion is like going to the sun and outside, and feeling happy and safe. No more crime so much, no more poor people. And because this isolation have led, in Brazil they have to travel by helicopters, the rich, because if they go down to the streets they will get robbed and killed and raped immediately. So they cannot do that. They have to fly away to avoid the war, which live 100 meters below them. So this is not a happy world. If you people want to make this world a happy place, isolation has never worked. Never. So maybe it could be a wise idea to do the opposite and unisolate nations. I'm not sure if humans really can do this. it could be in our nature that we cannot really be happy together. We can only fight. This have been so long like this. Maybe we are not able to live here. Maybe we are destined to kill ourselves and each other. I don't know. Because it's all in here, in our nature, in our brains, in our thoughts. And maybe humans just are not there yet. And maybe never will be. But I hope that we could be. Um, the vision I have, which might be possible, and it's not utopia, it's just facts. It's about being reasonable, being logical, and kind of. And if you think that we cannot do it, you are then saying that our human nature is preventing us from doing things better and living together as a happy one nation or one humanity. If we cannot do that and you are thinking like that, then you are thinking that we are failed. We have failed as a species. But we are animals like any animal, and they have tribes like chimpanzees. They usually kill the neighboring chimpanzee uh, group, tribe. What are those groups, tribes? Um, Bonobos can live in peace, and it's usually because the resources are plentiful. Chimpanzees live in harsh, dry environments where the food is not so plentiful. Bonobos, they have had some luck because they live in that side of the river where there is a lot of food, and they really solve things differently to chimpanzees. You can find out. But anyway, uh, either way, I don't know if we humans are capable of living happily on this planet together without causing suffer to someone to please ourselves and fill our own stomachs and needs in the expense of other humans. I don't know if it's possible because this is in our nature. All what we do is telling about us. Every war, every killing, every exploitation, every rape, every murder, every beating, every robbery, every cheating, every scheme to get others money or possessions. This everything tells about who we are as animals. And we are like this as animals. Everything you see, everything you hear, it's telling what we are. But do we want to be like this? Is the question. If we want to be like this, we keep going like this. We stay like this. If we don't want to be like this, we stop being like this. It's very easy. Or maybe not. Maybe we cannot help our nature. Maybe we are in our nature like this. There was a sketch program here in Finland. Se on mun luonto. That's my nature. Like the scorpion said to the turtle before killing the turtle, which was bringing them both across the river, and they both drowned, the scorpion, the turtle, because the scorpion just couldn't help and sting the turtle in the of the river and they both drowned. Maybe we are like that, like scorpions. We just cannot help ourselves. But maybe that's the question. Do we want to be turtles, slow and not very much harming? Even turtles, they eat fish, I think. But, oh, plants, I don't know. Maybe both fish and plants. But do we want to be scorpions or turtles? That's maybe my question to you. Yes, I had a question to humanity. Do we want to be scorpions or do we want to be turtles? Yeah, maybe that's a good question for everyone to think. Do you want to be a scorpion or do you want to be a turtle? And remember the story. They both died anyway. Not a bad joke, but yeah. Either way, if you want to be a scorpion or if you want to be turtle in this story, they both drowned. But the turtle got poisoned by the scorpion, and the scorpion drowned. But anyway, I believe actually scorpions can survive in water. Maybe the scorpion survived. So, do you want to be scorpion and survive? Or do you want to be a turtle and die? But why did the scorpion want to get the turtle to bring him across the river? Couldn't the scorpion swim? Or, I don't know. Did the scorpion drown or not? You might think. Is it good to be a scorpion or is it good to be a turtle? Some slow, living more than 100 years old. Scorpions doesn't live many years. Maybe 1 or 2 or I don't know how many years scorpions live. Turtles can live, I believe they are the animals which live maybe the longest almost. Not, I think there are some animals which outlive even turtles, but turtles live very long. I don't know if they're happy, but they have a good shell to protect them, and they live long. And I believe turtles are really wise animals. They seem slow, but isn't it that the speed is not the thing always? Because if you are patient and you are slow, maybe it's better to be slow sometimes. You can think about this in your bedrooms, maybe. Is it good to be slow or fast? So let this be your conversation in your bedrooms, maybe, because it's very late now. So, something to think about. Do you want to be a scorpion or do you want to be a turtle? And do you want to be fast or do you want to be slow? Which one is better? To be fast or slow, or to be poisonous or live long and be wise? What is better? Everyone have to decide for themselves, I believe. But collectively, I have no idea what we are in our nature. More like scorpions or more like turtles? I don't know. Maybe you and everyone have to think this. Yeah, must think. No one can dictate others' thoughts or decisions. Dictatorships, they never last very long. Not very long. Maybe the longest dictatorships have been tens of years. In Europe, 30 years, this small country, which was really isolated. And North Korea, maybe the longest lived dictatorship is North Korea. Yes, do you want to live in North Korea? No, I like to live there. But anyway, I think our only hope is to decide what we are in our nature. Because we can, maybe, I don't even know if we can choose it. I hope we can choose it. What do we want to be in our nature? Do we want to be good or bad? Do we want to be turtles or scorpions? Or do you want to be bonobos or chimpanzees? Or do you want to be what? We are humans anyway. Just animals called humans. Packed animals, pack animals, I don't know what is. Laumaeläin, pack animals. And we don't behave so very different to chimpanzees when I think. But we could be like bonobos if you like. But it's not my decision. My decision is now fart. So, yes. This is fucking long video, but it's okay. Good night.